Good day everyone, my name is Angelica Villardo and today we will going to discuss about the basic lines of inquiry in arson investigation. So here the arson investigator must have to inquire on the following, and these are point of origin of fire, motives of arsonist, prime suspect, and the telltale signs of arson. So first, let's discuss first the point of origin of fire. The important point to be established is the point of origin of fire. In other words, at what particular place in the building the fire started. This may be established by an examination of the witness, by an inspection of the debris at the fire scene, and by studying the fingerprint of fire. The fingerprint of fire occurs during the free-burning stage of the fire when pyrolytic decomposition moves upward on the walls, leaving a band pattern. So ma'am, what is band pattern? So, band pattern is a noticeable patterns created by the fire as it burns, like example in the screen. So that is band pattern. So here, in point of origin of fire, we need a witness to help determine the point of origin of fire or the location where the fire started. And her witnesses must be questioned as to, first, identity. The investigator must verify first the identity of a witness to recognize them or distinguish. Next, second, what attracted his attention? How did he notice there was a fire? Next, time of observation. The investigator will ask what time he or she saw or observed that there was a fire. Next, his position in relation to the fire at the time of observation. The investigator will ask what he did on the time of the fire. Next, exact location of the blaze. The investigator will ask the witness that where exactly or at what area in the location started when he saw that fire. Next, 6 is size and intensity. The investigator will ask the witness that when he saw it, can he estimate the volume and its intensity of fire? 7. Rapidity of spread. It means the witness here will ask when he saw the fire, how faster it spread on that location. 8. Color of flame and odor if he is in a position. Then the witnesses will ask when they are on the location of fire, what does this show on the color of the flame, and its odor came out. Last, any other person in the vicinity beside the witness. So here the investigator will look for people who saw near the fire and ask for some questions according on what they observed on the fire incident, like their neighbor or within the area who has the possibility can tell it's happened just beside the witness who actually saw and actually in the incident. Then note, in point of origin of fire, here we should know its fire setting mechanism. That what is the cause of fire? If it is matches, candles, electrical system, or mechanical means, or else chemical methods. Next. So next topic, we move to motive of arsonist. To understand the motives of arsonist, the arson investigator have to note the following: that fire are set by persons with motives and people without motives. So here in persons with motives consist of the following. A. Those with desire to defraud the insurer. So the arsonist has a totally motive to burn that area because of his desire to deceive the insurer. He wants to obtain money from someone by deception. So next, B. Employees or such other person who have a grievance for fire revenge. The arsonist is maybe an employee or other person who has evil mind which he planned to fire revenge on that place where he totally upset. Next, those with desire to conceal evidence of a crime. The arsonist here he really meant to burn that such area for the purpose of losing evidence of a crime where it is important to know who is the perpetrator. And next, D. Those who set fire for purposes of intimidation. The arsonist burned that area because of experiencing of somebody threatening him or her or alarming him, so that kaya nagawa niya yung pagsunog. Next, in people without motives. Here, those who are mentally ill. So, the arsonists are those who have mental health condition like depression, obsessive compulsive disorder, and etc. Kaya nagawa nila na magsunog. Next, pathological fire setters is a subset of arson wherein the fire setter has a psychiatric, developmental, or other medical disorder that significantly contributes to the etiology of the act of setting a fire. Next, hyrus and psychos. So it means a person who is mentally ill and often dangerous or violent psychopath. Mga lain ilang mga huna-huna. So next, motives of arsonists consist of the following: the economic gain, concealment of crime, punitive measure, intimidation or economic disabling, and pyromania. So here in economic gain, is consists of the following. A. Her the insurance fraud with the assured directly benefiting. So it means to burn because of desire to move. The premises may no longer be desirable because of the condition of the building. Kaya nag-decide to sila kaya na sila desire nga mobalhin sa lain place papaha. Next, desire to dispose merchandise. Loss of market value like being out of season, lack of raw materials, or oversupply of merchandise can be a big reason for arson. Next, existing business transaction that the arsonist would like to avoid, such as impending liquidation, settlement of estate, need for cash, prospective business failure, and increased rentals. Next, in economic gain, profit by the perpetrator other than the assured, like insurance against wishing business with the assured, business competitor planning to drive others, persons seeking job as personal protection, salvagers and contractors wishing to contact another building. Then, now, let's go to the concealment of crime. So we are now on concealment of crime. The arsonist her may set fire to a building in order to conceal a projected or past crime, because he may wish to divert attention in order to loot the burning premises or steal in other places. Or the burning may be for the purpose of destroying evidences, because the perpetrator or the arsonist hide something that are not pleasant to see, and it might be affect his business and to his good character in the eye of everyone, and he think it might be an evidence to damage his character. So the arsonist burned that area to vanish its evidence of the crime committed. So that arson was used as means. And that is the concealment of crime. Next, punitive measure. Let's go to punitive measure. An arsonist may use fire as a means of punishing another person for reason of jealousy, hatred, or revenge. Like an example, jealousy of other competitive company. Because of the jealousy, they may set fire to that building so that they will lose their competition and be the number one. And that what we call punitive measure. Diba? Dahil lang sa jealous, kaya nagawa magsunog ng ibang company. Next, let's go to the intimidation or economic disabling. Here, the arsonists are saboteurs, strikers, and racketeers to intimidate management or employer. So like example, the employee of that company went on strike because of unfair minimum wage and their benefit of insurance, they just promising it. The years pass by, and until the years pass by, and still there's no happened. So the impossible but possible crime has happened. The striker makes a crime which they born the company where they work. And that's an intimidation. Sinunog na lang nila kasi unfair ang minimum wage, mga sahod nila, at saka insurance, hindi binibigay. So next, lastly, pyromania. A pyromaniac have the uncontrollable impulse to burn anything without any motivation. They do not run away from the fire since they love watching the burning. So, gusto nilang makita yung nasusunog na yung area. Kasi iba na yung nasa utak nila. So, types of pyromania are abnormal youth, the hero type, alcoholics and drug addicts, sexual deviants, and perverts. So, in abnormal youth, let's talk about in abnormal youth. Here, epileptics, imbeciles, and morons may set fire without knowing the seriousness of the act. Imbeciles means a stupid person. They didn't making any serious, especially on what happened in their surrounding. Like they don't care. Wala silang paki kung nasunog na ba na. And that is abnormal youth. Next, hero type. A person may set fire on a building, subsequently pretends to discover it and turn in the alarm so that he will appear a hero to the public. But the truth, he's the one who set fire on a building. Such a wise person. And that is hero type. Next, alcoholics and drug addicts. Here the person who subject themselves to intense artificial stimulants such as narcotics or sometimes develop a strong urge toward incendiaries. Because of being addicts, surely they are out in their mind from being normal person and can create unpredictable behavior. Yung nakagawa na sila ng kasalanan kasi sa mga stimulants na napupunta sa kanilang katawan. Next, last is sexual deviants and perverts. Some sex perverts derive sexual stimulation from setting a fire and watching the flame. Or he is chronic masturbator who stimulates and enhances his sexual gratification by means of arson. Here, yung arsonist na to is talagang nakaka-public discipline na kasi nagmamasturbate kahit sa harap niya may nasusunog. So, ganun. So next, of the basic lines of inquiry in arson investigation is about prime suspect. So here, we are now in prime suspects and the prima facie evidences. The development of prime suspects, this involves identification results from the full development of leads, clues, and traces. The testimony, particularly eyewitnesses, and the development of expert testimony. And the following technique may serve the investigation, such as number 1, search of the fire scene for physical evidence, and it consists of A. Protection of the scene. So protection of the scene. It must be protected to minimize the risk of contamination and loss of evidence. B. Mechanics of search. It needs so that they won't be difficult on how to solve the problem on its searching on that incident. C. Collection and preservation of evidence. It is important because it will presented to the court and also it can help to solve such crime. Next and last, laboratory aid. It works as a part of the laboratory team performing the task assigned to them. So need yun sila. So we're now on the number 2 of the techniques of prime suspects, which is background study of policyholders, occupants of premises, owner of building, or the other person having major interest in the fire. Next techniques is it should have interviews and interrogations of persons who discovered the fire and the one who turned the first alarm, fireman, and eyewitness. The last techniques of prime suspects and the prima facie evidence is surveillance. It is important to use as to covert observation of people, places, and vehicles, which law enforcement agencies and private detectives use to investigate allegations of illegal behavior. And now, lastly, we are in the 4th basic lines of inquiry in arson investigation, the telltale signs of arson. So these signs may be obvious that the first fireman and the scene will suspect arson, or they may be so well concealed that man's of patient investigation to show that it is set of will be required. And the following telltale sign of arson are burn building, separate fires, color of smokes, color of flame, amount of heat, smoke marks, size of fire, direction of travel, intensity, odor, and last, condition of content. Let's talk about burn building. So the type of building may indicates a set fire under certain circumstance. A fire of considerable size at the time the first apparatus arrived at the scene is suspicious if it is a modern concrete or semi-concrete building. So here, the firefighters will identify the location if it is modern concrete or semi-concrete before they move or create an action. So next, separate fires. When 2 or more separate fire breaks out within a building, the fire is certainly suspicious, and because of it, it is more dangerous and it needs to be more careful. Next, color of smoke. Some fire born with little or no smoke, but they are exception. The observation of the smoke must be made at the start of the fire since once the fire has assumed a major proportion. The value of the smoke is lost because it will not indicate the material used by arsonists. So it means the color of the smoke must be observed in the first place when it's starting on fire, because if the volume of fire goes up, they won't see the color of smoke. Here are the list of some of the color of the smoke. A. When white smoke appears before the water from the fire hose comes in contact with the fire, it indicates you made material burning. Example, burning hay, vegetable materials, phosphorus with garlic odor. So garlic odor mga yang mugawas nga baho. The next, B, biting smoke, irritating the nose and throat and causing lacrimation and coughing indicates presence of chlorine. So delikado ni kay makadaot na sa atong kalawasan. Next, C, black smoke indicates lack of air if accompanied by large flames. It indicates petroleum products and rubber. So masamot kay ang naana diri is na mga petroleum products and rubber. So bako na gid na kayo. The next, D, reddish brown smoke indicates nitrocellulose, the is1, H2, SO4, HNO3, or HCI. The next, here the meaning of color of smoke and fire. So if black smoke with deep red flame, mo na siya ang petroleum products, tar, rubber, plastics, and etc. Then if heavy brown with bright red flame, so kana siya is from nitrogen products. The next, white smoke with bright flame. So, ang kana siya is magnesium products. Next, black smoke with red and blue-green flame. Kana siya is asphalt. So, if naman, purple-violet flame, that is potassium products. Greenish-yellow flame, that means chloride or manganese products. Then last, bright reddish yellow flame, that is calcium products. Next of the telltale signs, color of flame. So the color of the flame is good indication of the intensity of the fire, an important factor in determining incendiarism. So next, amount of heat. A reddish glow indicates heat of 500 degrees centigrade, and a real bright red about 100 degrees centigrade. Then red flames indicate of petroleum, blue flame indicates use of alcohol as accelerant. Then now let's go to smoke marks as a telltale sign of arson. Experience investigation will determine the volume of smoke involved at the fire and the character as a residue deposited on walls or elsewhere. Smoke in marks have often been of assistance in determining the possibility of a fire having more than one place of origin. So, muna siya ang smoke marks. Then next, let's go to the size of fire. Size of fire. This is important when correlated with the type of alarm. The time received and the time of arrival. So, important siya. And fire apparatus first make what might be termed a normal progress. Such progress can be estimated after an examination of the material borne, the building, and the normal ventilation offered of the fire. So the time element and the degree of headway by the flames become important factors to determine possible incendiarism. That is the size of fire. Next, let's go to the direction of travel. While it is admitted that no two fires born in identical fashion, yet it can be shown that the fire makes normal progress through various types of building materials, combustibility of contents, channel of ventilation, and circumstances surrounding the sending of alarm, or an inexperienced investigator can determine whether a fire spread abnormally fast. So, diri sa direction of travel, mahibaw-an nimo kung paspas ba or normal ba ang pagkalat sa sunog. Kaya na siya sa telltale signs of arson. Next is intensity. So, the degree of heat given off by a fire and the color of its flame oftentimes indicate that some accelerant has been added to the material normally present in a building, and the investigator must look for further evidence pointing to use of such accelerant. Difficulty in extinguishing the fire is often a lead to suspect presence of such fluid as gasoline and kerosene. So, di nila maban kung unsa ang degree sa kainit nga gihatag sa kalayo. So, next is odor. So, the odor of gasoline, alcohol, kerosene, and other inflammable liquids which are often used as accelerant is characteristics, and oftentimes arsonists are trapped because of this telltale sign. Most of fire setters are inclined to use substance which will make the blaze certain and at the same time burn up any evidence of their crime. So masunog kay tungod sa mga inflammable liquids ka naa dito sa area. O may bawaan nila tungod sa odor. Kung ang odor ba is gasoline, alcohol, or kerosene, and other inflammable materials. Last is the last of telltale signs of arson, condition of content. So, ano napili siya dire? So, persons tending to set their house on fire frequently remove objects of value either materially or sentimentally. Store and other business establishments oftentimes remove a major portion of their content or replace valuable merchandise without of style articles. So that's all. Um, Again, the basic lines of inquiry in arson investigation are point of origin of fire, motives of arsonist, prime suspects, the telltale signs of arson. And that's all. I hope today nga daghan mo yung tun-an sa akong na-discuss o napod inyong nasabtan. That's all.